I let it fall, my heart, and as it fell, you rose to claim it. It was dark, and I was over, until you kissed my lips and you saved me. My hands, they were strong, but my knees.
Billy Ford, Tom Stew, Andy Johnson, and Smith Brown were all on their own routes in search of land because they all had different wants. They didn't have money to purchase food, so they relied on hunting. The conflict arises when they all arrive at an open pasture with a bunch of cattle, and they are all fighting for their wants. Their lives are also in danger because they all needed the land so badly that they would fight for it, or at least come to a fair conclusion. Each of the characters wanted the field and claimed it for their own reason, but since it was no one's land, the mayor technically owned the land and chose who got it. No one ever claimed the land, so the mayor wants to collect rent. Billy wants land for his animals, Tom wants fruit from the trees, Andy wants the stream for water, Smith wants the cattle that were there.
With you.
Billy arrived at a beautiful land that was unoccupied.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Tom was strolling through and encountered a big tree full of fresh fruit.
This tree is what I've been looking for. I need fruits for my nutrition.
Andy was walking, filling up buckets of water from the stream when he noticed this land would be very useful.
This stream is perfect because the water is really pure and I need to satisfy my dehydration.
Smith was walking through the pasture of cattle on the land and started to claim the land because he wanted the cattle.
The cattle here are so healthy because I've been feeding them for such a long time, so they're mine. I arrived here first. This land is mine, and I own it. Everyone back off my property. This has been my stop every single time I pass this field. I planted this tree. Here are the fruits, so these trees are mine.
My uncle's the mayor of this city, so I have all rights to this open land, especially the stream. I have been living near here and checking on these cattle for many years, so this is mine.
We need to figure out a solution.
I'm willing to do whatever it takes to have this land. Pulls out a shotgun and axe. If you don't get off my land, I'm going to shoot Billy's cattle, knock down Tom's tree, and take out all of the water from Andy's stream. Pulls out explosives.
I will destroy this land with explosives so no one can have it.
They argued and fought the whole day. They couldn't get to a conclusion. Smith killed 2 of Billy's cows. Everyone was so angry they decided to get the government and mayor into this. The next day, all 4 men and mayor were meeting at the open land to fix everything. Andy, Billy, and Tom were upset that Smith had to get the mayor involved. The next day in the entrance of the land. Rent on this land hasn't been paid for the last 2 years. None of you can claim this land, and we will never come to a conclusion if one of you isn't willing to pay the rent. The one who's willing to pay the rent will be able to keep this land. All 4 men were very poor, but the land would be a big help for them to make money, so all of them were willing to pay. I'm willing to pay because I want the cattle that were there.
I'm willing to pay because I want the fruits on the trees. I'm willing to pay because I want the land for my animals.
I am willing to pay because I want the stream for water. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I am afraid you can't come to a conclusion. The land is mine, and all of you better take all of your stuff, including your animals, off this land before midnight. If everything isn't off, I shall fine you for invading private property. Smith, Tom, Billy, and Andy needed to come up with the conclusion because now the land was in the hand of the mayor. They decided that the only way to solve the fact that they didn't have possession of the land was to kill the mayor. They were located in a very rural and western part of Dallas, Texas. The killing of the mayor wouldn't be big news here because he barely had any position in the city. The city was very lonely and there was barely any people there. They didn't have their own police for the city because it was abandoned. At midnight, when the mayor came to check that no one was there, they were going to plan to kill him. Midnight that night in front of the land. Wow, y'all aren't off my land. I see how it is. The men were standing together to form a wall so he would be trapped. Andy counted to 3 and they all took out their shotguns and pointed for his head. 1, 2, 3. All 3 men were about to shoot when all of a sudden Billy had a better idea.
Instead of killing him, we should torture him until we get what we want.
I agree. We don't necessarily need to kill him in order to get what we want. The men held the mayor hostage for a month and tortured him daily. Even after a month of torture, the mayor would not agree to their terms, so they had to kill him. Obviously, our plan worked. We had to survive.
I say we divide the land with three fences. The stream is fenced off for Andy, the tree for Tom, and the pasture for the animals for me.
That is a great idea. Smith and I went to Dallas Community College together, and we were in economics class together, so I know him.
I like this idea. I will go out and buy the fences tomorrow, and everyone must be back.
The next day, they started the dividing of the land with the new wood fences. This was a great idea, and they all started to become friends after this. After a month, they felt that there was no need for the fences and took them off so they could share every part of the land together. They were best friends and decided to do everything together. Andy brought the water to the relationship from the stream, Tom brought fruits for their nutrition from the tree, and Billy brought meat and chicken so they all can have protein and complete meals. The split of the land was a great idea and very useful. The men loved the land, and they were all satisfied with the idea of splitting the land. 10 years later, the men are still happily living on the land. They all got married and had children. The children help with the land, and the wives plant and cook. They plan on starting a civilization on this land.
Feel undefeated, snap my fingers, disappear from the precinct.